In the quiet town of Harrow's End, there stood an old, dilapidated mansion known as Wisteria Manor. The locals whispered tales of its dark history, but no one dared to venture near, especially after sunset. One chilly autumn evening, a curious young woman named Elara decided to uncover the secrets of Wisteria Manor. Armed with only a flashlight and her determination, she made her way to the mansion as the moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the twisted, gnarled wisteria vines that choked the building. As Elara pushed open the creaking front door, a gust of cold air greeted her, carrying with it the scent of decay. The interior was shrouded in darkness, with only the weak beam of a flashlight cutting through the thick gloom. Dust motes danced in the air, disturbed by her every step. The floorboards groaned under her weight, and the oppressive silence pressed against her ears. She walked down a long, narrow hallway, the portraits on the walls seemingly watching her every move. Their eyes glinted maliciously in the dim light, sending shivers down her spine. Elara's heart pounded in her chest, but she pressed on, driven by an inexplicable urge to understand the manor's sinister past. In the parlor, she found a grand piano, its keys yellowed with age. A sense of unease settled over her as she approached it. Without warning, a haunting melody filled the air, playing by invisible hands. Elara's breath caught in her throat as the chilling music wrapped around her like a ghostly embrace. She backed away, her pulse racing, only for the music to stop abruptly, leaving a deafening silence in its wake. Determined not to be deterred, Elara climbed the winding staircase to the second floor. As she reached the top, she felt a cold, spectral hand brush against her shoulder. She spun around, but there was nothing there, only the empty, shadowy hallway stretching out before her. Elara entered a bedroom at the end of the corridor. The room was frozen in time, with dusty furniture and a four-poster bed draped in cobwebs. On the bedside table lay an old diary. She picked it up, the leather cover brittle and worn. As she opened it, the pages began to turn on their own, revealing the tragic story of the manor's last inhabitants. The diary belonged to a woman named Evelyn, who had lived in the manor over a century ago. She wrote of her husband's descent into madness and how the house seemed to feed off their misery. Evelyn's final entry spoke of a ritual to bind their spirits to the manor, ensuring they would never leave. Elara felt a chill run down her spine as she realized she was not alone. The air grew colder, and the shadows in the room seemed to pulse with malevolent intent. She heard whispers, faint and indistinct, growing louder and more insistent. Panic set in, and she fled the room, the diary slipping from her grasp. As Elara raced down the stairs, the temperature plummeted. Her breath came out in frosty puffs, and her vision blurred with fear. The front door loomed ahead, but as she reached for it, the walls began to close in, the house itself seeming to come alive, intent on trapping her within its haunted confines. With a final, desperate push, Elara burst through the door and into the cold night. She stumbled down the steps, the manor's ominous presence receding behind her. Gasping for breath, she glanced back one last time, only to see a pale, ghostly figure watching her from an upstairs window. The haunting melody began to play again, echoing through the night as Elara ran, vowing never to return to Wisteria Manor. The secret she had uncovered would remain forever entwined with the cursed house, a dark legacy that would continue to haunt the town of Harrow's End.